Hey everybody, Not So Frog here. I have another thing for you today. This is my second video. First one was the airsoft crossbow, another projectile launcher. This here is, well, I guess I'll call it a hand cannon. I'll leave it at that. It's a 2-inch bore projectile launcher powered by exchanges of rubber based on a 19th century design called the Hodges catapult gun. And I'll explain what it's based on in that design and what's smart about that design, and I'll do that in a bit. But first, yeah, let me just sort of show you the overall build here. It's a pistol format. It's got like a match pistol style grip from plexiglass. It's got a safety, exchangeable power. It's got some bumpers to stop the impact of the shuttle. The shuttle itself, right here, you can see that. It's got two pins sticking out. You can put these on there, and I'll show you the loading process. Trigger is a one-piece trigger steer mechanism. And yeah, it's an overall robust, nice-looking, aesthetically pleasing design. Looks like a really cool sci-fi weapon. And it even works well. And it's just really pleasing to shoot and to load, and just everything about it's very fun. I'll bring the camera up and I'll show you a close-up detail of everything and just go over it real quick.
So as you can see, the gun body itself is made from that same 2-inch ABS pipe I mentioned earlier. There are a bit of sleeves that fit over, say here, here, and here, and here, and over there. Those were just taken onto a piece of railroad track that I had from my forging supplies, and I used that curved top of the railroad track to sort of flatten them out a bit so that they'd fit just cleanly over that. Then using ABS cement, I soldered them in place. I guess I'll start with the front to go in depth a bit. I won't take too long though. Mostly shooting is what I want to do with this video. This is a sleeve, I guess you could call it a connector of 2-inch ABS pipe. The reason I chose that is because, one, it looks like a cool muzzle, and two, it can allow me to put these bolts in here. These bolts are the things that hold the exchanges of rubber. There are 4 exchanges of rubber on each side, and totaling to 8 exchanges of rubber. These exchanges of rubber, I think they are 1842 Dankung rubber, slingshot rubber performance style. I like how they shoot, and they work very well. So that's that. And behind those, I think it's the Dankung 1732, whatever you want to call it. And that is just for a bumper. Basically, these pins sticking out of the shuttle. The shuttle is going to fly forward very fast. If you don't have a bumper there, it's going to hit the plastic and just smash it. So I have the little bumper just to sort of bounce it back so it doesn't smash into anything. There is a slot cut all the way through here, and that is to basically just allow the pin to slide and to keep this shuttle centered. And if we look through here, you can see a bit of the trigger mechanism. The thing with the trigger mechanism is that it does not actually is not connected to this pipe exactly. It's more or less just screwed into the back with a piece of plexiglass acting as the back plate. The reason for that is pure strength reasons, and also for ease of usage and ease of maintaining. I don't feel like having to put everything in there and pin it down. It's so hard to do, like making a ship in a bottle. So it's much easier if you do it all externally and then just screw it in right here. And the strength reasons are because, you know, I don't know, I'm not going to depend on this pipe just to hold back all this rubber. I mean, I already am right here. That's weak enough. I'm scared of that, but, you know. And continuing on, this little sleeve right here holds on the trigger. I didn't want it, or not the trigger, sorry. This whole sleeve right here holds on the handle. I didn't want to touch the handle directly to the actual pipe because that, you know, it could cause strength issues, but also the bolts that connect to the handle right here, these could get in the way of the shuttle itself and cause some problems with the shooting or break the shuttle. So it's connected externally, just like the trigger. There is a toggle on-off safety, some multiplex to increase the thickness to allow the screws and the bolts there. The handle is from 3 layers of plexiglass. You can see that there, non-tapered but sanded and filed. Reason for non-tapering, just because I didn't feel like it. I don't feel like sanding down the plexiglass and everything. And you don't really need it anyways. There's recoil to this gun, but it's not much, and it doesn't really do anything. So you really don't even have to worry about this. It's nice and smooth enough already. I mean, it's plexiglass, usually smooth. And yeah, that's the overall gun, I guess. And it's a nice little shooter, works well, and yeah, there's not really much I can say about it. I guess you might as well just go straight to the shooting. I have lots of tests to do today. So, for my first test, I'm going to use this little foam bullet. It's basically a big 40mm Nerf bullet. I use it for airsoft matches.
So I guess for my first shot, I might as well show you the loading process I mentioned, just show you how easy it is compared to like standard slingshot guns and stuff. With the standard slingshot guns, you usually only have 2 actual exchanges of rubber, and they're both of a very high draw weight, and they're connected directly to the shuttle. This, it's less than 2, and they're disconnected from the shuttle. So instead of loading it all back at once, which would be about 60 pounds, like here, let me just attempt that. Yeah, no. If I really try to get it done, but I just don't feel like it, it's just too hard, and why would you even go through that? It would just be so hard to do for every single shot. Instead, I made things very easy by taking that Hodge's catapult design. Load your shuttle back, click on the safety, and just individually load them. They're only about 5 to 8 pounds of draw weight each, which is very low, because Dangkung likes to have their slingshot bands. They have a low draw weight, but they like you to draw them far, and because they're lightweight, they shoot faster than more store-bought bands that have a really high draw weight and heavy weight. And if you load them all up, though, they do have a lightweight but a heavier draw weight, and that gives you good power. I loaded up 3 bands on each side, totals to 6, and I'm going to shoot this little foam bullet here, shoot at that cardboard box. Click off my safety, right there. Okay. So yeah, it didn't make an impact or anything, but it hit with some good force, and you get good distances too. That's my airsoft bullet, and that's why I didn't break through. But yeah, I'll go to some more solid projectiles and see what happens.
Now I got this 40mm rubber ball. It's got this little plastic snail shell inside. Got it from the dollar store. Let's see how it impacts.
So again, I have 6 bands, and I have that rubber ball in there. Let's see how it shoots. Safety off. There we go. Okay. Cool. A loud impact. Didn't make any sort of dent because it's rubber. But yeah, it works.
Now I'm just going to do a big shotgun spray of a whole crap ton of pencils.
So if you can see in there, I have a little bit of paper towel, and I have all the pencils in there. Yeah, let's see how it shoots. This is going to be pretty cool. Safety. I'm going to go a bit close for this one. Wow, okay. So none of them really stuck, but you can definitely see there's a wide spread and lots of impact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's one right here too. Either way, wow, okay.
Now I'm going to shoot these 4 CO2 12-gram capsules. This is probably going to be a cool impact. I want to see how this one turns out.
Okay, so I got that paper towel, and I got 4 of those canisters. Let's see how this goes. I also have full power, by the way. That's 8 bands of power. I'm tempted to see how this works out. Safety. Okay. Alright. Here we go. Wow! Okay. Alright. If you look at this, impact here, 1 here. This one didn't go all the way through. This one definitely broke through. And this one, nearly. I think all of them bounced off. I don't think there's any inside. Nope. Either way, still cool though.
For my next shot, I have some 68 caliber paintballs.
So, full power and a handful of paintballs. Let's see how this goes. Okay. And... oh crap. One hit me in the face. Look at this. Ow. Well, it looks like something stopped them from breaking. Maybe with the velocity. None of them broke, but one hit me right in the face, so that's... there's danger to this, I guess. Wow. Huh.
Those paintballs got me thinking. What is the same size as a paintball, but solid? That is my favorite projectile. Marbles.
So ignore my cat. That's one of the annoying ones. He just sits outside the shop and meows all day. Very sickening. Anyways, this is a handful of marbles in here. I really, like, my favorite projectile of all time is marbles. They're cheap, easy to shoot, easy to find. Well, you don't have to find them either. They just go into the ground. It's just glass, right? Like, it's not any polluting sort of thing. No. Anyhow, let me just go straight to the shot, because I love marbles. Let's see how it shoots. Alright. I'll go close up for this one. Wow! Okay. I don't know if any of them went in, but they definitely impacted. And they broke new holes where the previous holes were. But they kind of impacted in a big sort of clump, so that probably broke apart the individual impacts. Maybe I should have stood back more. Either way, let me just take a check. Alright, 2 made it in. The rest ricocheted off. Good enough for me. I've seen many of the airsoft grenade launchers have these shells where it just shoots a big spray of about 50 BBs. Can mine do that? Well, I guess we'll have to find out. I could go for more power, but that might be dry firing it because BBs are just so light. So I just put on 4 bands, and I had that handful of BBs in there with that little paper towel. Let's just see how it works, see the spread and everything. I mean, I doubt it'll go through, but it'll be nice to see the spread. So I'll stand back a bit. Okay, this is going to be a mess, by the way. Wow, okay. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but that was a very good spread. About this wide. Well, now that I moved on to solid projectiles, I was thinking, what's a really good, simple, solid projectile? So I went back to mankind's roots and just got myself a big rock. I'm going to see how this impacts. It's got a couple of little triangular-ish points, but it's still pretty smooth. Not really round at all, but I want to see how that affects the impact in the cardboard. I'm pretty sure it'll make a good impact. So I got 8 power bands on there, and I got that rock. Not too worried about anything during the shooting, just kind of worried about the recoil. It's kind of a heavy rock, but not really. Let's see how it goes. I'm going to go a bit close, just in case it rebounds and hits the floor and shatters. Don't want that happening. Alright. Here we go. Okay, didn't shatter, but let's see the impact. Oh yeah, it hit flat, sadly. So it made a big ring right about here and was about to break clean through. With a bit more power and a bit closer, it probably would have went right through. Especially if it was on an angle like this and didn't hit it flat. Impressive, I like that. So I wanted something even more solid. So I basically just took this bearing punch that I made in a metalworking course and just put some 40mm foam around it. I'm tempted to see how this shoots. I'm sure the recoil will hurt though. Okay, this thing, very heavy. I'm tempted to see how this turns out. I'm going to go pretty close though, because I don't think it'll have any range like at all. Safety. Okay. I have to literally hold the gun up, because that's how heavy it is. Alright, here we go. Ooh, okay, it didn't stick in, but you can probably see that from there. Big, wide hole. I put my finger all the way through that. And it actually went through. And impacted into the dog food bag that's inside of this box. There's dog food spilling out inside of here. Ooh. That's a punch, I guess. That's what it's for. And now, the blunt impact to that punch, which is so strong from the weight and everything, got me thinking, what about a baseball bat? I look pretty crazy right now, and this is a pretty crazy idea in general. So, let's see how this works out. I doubt it'll actually break through. Too wide of a head on that bat, but just pretty interesting projectile. I can barely hold it up, that's for sure. Okay. Holy, the recoil's intense. Let's check this out. So there was an impact. There's a dent about the size of the head, like I said. It wouldn't break through though, because there's not enough speed behind those bands for something so heavy. There's a good crack along where the impact was, so if I had stronger bands, it probably would have broke through. So for the next projectile, I decided to take it to what I call my personal safety limit, shooting indoors. This is a knife I made about 1 or 2 years ago, a Skinner knife. Nice, whatever. Not that great, that's why I kind of feel like shooting it. It's not too much of a loss. That's a walnut handle. And then just the guard. The guard's actually a washer, pretty cheap. The blade itself is just some, I think it's like salvage steel from like a tiller disc or something. I'll put some foam on it and let's shoot it, see what happens. 8 bands of rubber and a knife. Very scary, that's for sure. Pray that I don't die today. And pray that something else doesn't die today. Alright, here we go. I'm gonna move it close. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, okay. You can see that from there, I hope. That's pretty intense impact. It went through, went into the dog food bag. It's about halfway through with the knife. Wow. That was a good impact, holy crap. See, I bet if I just shot it at a better angle, went in like this, it probably would have went all the way through up to the hilt, just like that. Jesus. That was intense. So, yeah, as you see, a very dynamic, I'm not going to call it a weapon, I'm going to call it a tool. A very dynamic tool. Works good for airsoft, I'm sure it will. I'll do some testing, same with the crossbow once spring comes around. It's just winter out here right now. It just generally works well. It doesn't get, you know, super high ranges or anything. Probably the max range, I'd say, 60 feet with a little foam bullet. That's the only safe thing you want to shoot at people, unless you're trying to kill your friends. I mean, if you're for that, okay, just don't tell the cops about it and grab that knife and just shoot that. But, you know, I'm just shooting foam bullets because I'm not insane. So, it'll shoot, yeah, 60 feet. But, I mean, it's not a big rifle or anything, it's a pistol. And the draw length of this rubber is very short, and that explains the short distances gained. Imagine a slingshot that you pull back, like, this far. That's way too short. So, no matter how high of a draw weight, it's still such a short draw length that it's really going to affect the acceleration distance, and it's just going to leave more to be desired, really. You're never going to truly get that speed that you want out of something so small. You'd have to have it in a big rifle length, like maybe this long, and then you have your weird bazooka rifle. At that point, I don't know. I mean, in the future I might make something like that. I was thinking about the British World War II anti-tank Piat launcher. It's not necessarily spring-powered, but it does have a big spring because it had a firing pin that was like this big and like this wide, just to, you know, launch it into the projectiles, which were these big missiles that had to be, you know, ignited with the firing pin. So it's not spring powered, but I thought it was, and I started designing stuff for it. So I might make my own version of that, so that'll be like the step up from this, and that'd be pretty cool. But for now, though, I'm just gonna leave this because I'm totally fine with this. This thing is fun enough for me. Maybe in the future I'll make something bigger, but nah, for now this is good. So yeah, that was the hand cannon grenade launcher pistol, let's call it. I hope you liked it. I put a lot of work into, not really a lot of work into making it, just a lot of work into planning it. It really just a lot of thinking to do, and it really came out well. I like the result. It works like I wanted it to. So yeah, if you like this video, well, give it a like. If you like the project, same thing. If there's something you're missing, or if there's something you want to see, just comment. If there's something you don't understand about the launcher itself, comment. And if you want to see more like this, like I said before on the last video, please subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. And yeah, I guess that's it for today. Thanks, and bye-bye.